Hi guys, and welcome back. So in this video we're going to add functionality to our application. First of all, I forgot, I didn't commit the work we did, so make it a habit of committing your work. I'm just going to go get status, and I see the changes I made. I'll say git adjust, let it run, git commit added login UI. Okay, get status because I want to see which branch I'm on. Oh, I'm on my master branch. So just push to master anyways. Did push origin master. I'm going to push this to Azure too, so I'll say git push Azure because I'm on master. I'll just give it some time to update in Azure. And we're just going to, it's running the build. We're going to let it run this build. While this is opening, I'll open up a project. So I have a project I already made, so a demo project I whipped up, and because so I don't have to type out all the code, I'm simply going to go there. Let's see. Yep, this is it. Let's see how the build is doing. Okay, so it has built the site. Alright, so it says deployment is successful. Before we continue, before I go and check if I can actually view it in the browser, I want to switch to my development branch because we shouldn't be working on our master branch. I'm going to type git branch to see what branches I have. So I have my dev and my master branch, and then I'll say git checkout dev. And then because I don't have the changes I made on master on dev, I'll just say git merge master to bring in all of those changes. Great, so we're ready to work now. I think I can check if my site was deployed successful. estate-app.azurewebsite.net is the URL to mine. And we see we have this, so we haven't put anything on the home page yet except our message here. And I'm going to go ahead and go to /account/login, and you see we have our login page. That's awesome. So we have our login page live on the currently we can't do much with this. We can only click here. It's going to bring us back to our login page, and that is what we want to fix now. So coming back to our project. I'm going to close all the open files first. I think I thought I just committed this. Let's see. Okay, so everything is good. Now to do this, we need to create some models. So in here, I'm going to create a new class. Let's create a new C# file, and let's call this login model. So this is going to be a login model, and we're going to put the properties that we expect from a user in the login model. So the first one is, of course, to log in. Let's see what's on our login page. We have the email and password on our login page, so those are the properties we're expecting. So I have public string email, get set, and the next one is the password. So I have public string password, get set. Great. The next thing we need to do is we need to create the action for it. So I'll come here and I'll create the action for it. Public action result login. The difference is this one now takes a model. So login model, name it model, and open and close here. I click here and accept this, and instead of just, we know you have to return in the view here. For now we want to confirm that we can hit this action, so I'll just say throw new not implemented exception. Not implemented exception. And so if you want to test something but you're not ready to implement the logic there yet, you can just put this here, and I'm going to put a breakpoint here because we're going to debug this, and I just want to make sure we can hit the model here. Before we can use this, we need to go into our view. So come into the view and come into our accounts and go to the login page, and I want to declare the model we're using here. So up here I'm going to say at model. Our model has to be the name of this namespace plus the class. I'm going to copy this, come back here and say at model is this dot login model. So this is our model for this page. The HTML for this page is not properly formatted. I'll show you a little trick I use for formatting. I don't know if it still works. I'm going to open a new folder in VS Code. Let's see. I'll open this folder with VS Code and I'll create a HTML file. So I like to create this temporary folder that I use to work with bits of code. So I'll copy the whole of this. As you can see, this div is supposed to match the closing div at the end here, but it doesn't. So I'm going to paste it in here, and you see immediately I paste it in a page with .html at the end, it correctly formatted it. You see this HTML is now at the edge and everything is properly formatted. I'm going to go ahead, and if it doesn't automatically format yours, highlight everything with Ctrl A, then hold Ctrl K and Ctrl F to format, and it's formatted. Now I can simply copy this back and take it back to my actual page, just Control V to replace it with what is here. So you see I now have properly formatted code here, and it's important for your code to be properly formatted because it just allows you to see things better and you can work faster. The first change we'll make is this home account blah blah blah. We're simply going to change this to login. So change this to login and scroll down. So we have email and password. Do we have a form? Okay, yes, so this is wrapped in a form. Let's take a look again. Okay, so the form action, we need to tell it what action to go to. So as usual, the form action should be login. So I'm going to change it from action to ASP-action equals login, because that's the name of our action. And then this for label, we're going to change it from label to ASP-for email. I'm going to take away this ID, and instead I'm going to say ASP-for, and ASP-for should be equals to email. And email, because we have email here, so we're literally mapping it to this property here. Great, we'll come back here, and instead of ID here, we're going to say ASP-for password, and then we have our login button. Let's see, login model does not contain a definition for password. Okay, so this is a great mistake. It's saying here you're putting password here, but I can't find password in login model. So I'm simply going to change it to capital P, because that's my mistake. What else? Great, that's it. Method should be posts, and we can test this out. But to test this out, I'm going to actually debug it, not just run it with Control C with .NET Run. To debug it, I expect that you already have this, but I'll come to the debug window and I'll just hit run. Let's see, I think it's still building. Okay, so we're now running the app. What we want to do is we want to log in. So I'll go to /account/login. I have an issue. Okay, so it's saying here that there are multiple endpoints. I realized what we did wrong. If I come to account controller, realize that I didn't put the HTTP post or HTTP get on either of this, so that's the issue we're having. I'm going to stop this. I'll come in here and put the HTTP post attribute on this one, and for this one I'll add the HTTP get. HTTP posts and HTTP get. While we're here, I'll go ahead and add the HTTP get, and then we can run it again. So I'll just come here and try to go to /account/login again, and you see that this time I can go. I'm going to fill in my email here, @outlook.com, and I'll fill in a password, super secret password, and I'll hit login. And as we can see, it hits my breakpoint, and I can inspect my login model, and I see that I have both email and password. I'm going to hit continue, and we told it to throw an error that we haven't implemented this exception, so that is exactly what it's going to do. If I come to my page now, it's saying, hey, you've not implemented this, but that's okay, that's the behavior we want. I'm going to go back and I want to show you something. What if I don't fill in anything? What's going to happen when I don't fill in anything? I'm going to click login, and I still come to my controller, except this time there's nothing in my email or password string, and I don't want this behavior, right? I don't want our user to be able to submit or be able to submit when they did not, if they did not fill details in there. And there's a little something we can use to prevent that. It's called model validation. Let's go ahead and do it now. I'll come to my login model and I'll add something called attributes in C#. So when you see something like a square bracket and some text in it in any C# source code, know that that is an attribute. The attribute I'm going to use here is required. I'll put in required here. Let's say. So required, then add the using statement using system.componentModel.data annotations. Add required here. Add required to the other one too. So any property you want, any property that has to be filled before before it should be submitted, add the required property to it. And let's debug this again and see the behavior this time. See, so once again our login page, I'm going to clear this and I'm going to say login, and once again I can hit the controller, and our details are still invalid. So what is the point of the required attribute we added then? I'm going to show you how to use it. C# has something called model state, so we're just going to go ahead and say if model state dot is valid. So if model state is valid, we want to tell the user that, hey, what you're doing is not permitted, or you need to fill in these details or something like that. We're just going to return view with model state. So if model state is invalid, return view with the model state. I'm going to run this and we'll see the difference in the behavior of the application now. I'm going to go ahead and run this. So once again, slash accounts, slash login. I'll clear this and I'll go ahead and I'll say login. I hit my breakpoint once again, and this time I'll just say continue. The model item passing to the is of type this field. Okay, we're having a bit of an issue here. I'm just going to go ahead and open up the other projects and just handle the whole view issue from there. So there's some codes that we need to add the. So this is we're checking for the model state here. Okay, we don't have to pass in the model state apparently. So if model state is invalid, we just return the view. We don't need to pass in the model state. So if model state is invalid, we just return the view. I'm going to go ahead and run this one more time. I want you guys to see the error it's going to produce. So I'm going to come to account login. So I'll clear this, and I'll say login once again. It's going to hit my breakpoint, and I'll just say continue, and I'll come back to my view. And you see what, this time we didn't get this exception. This time we did not get this exception because it realized, hey, there's something wrong with your model. Some things are not filled in your model, and we simply return the view. Now, so why are we not seeing any messages then? The reason is because C# actually has the ability to show the model errors, which says, hey, you didn't fill the email, or hey, you didn't fill the password, but we're not currently using any of that. To use them, there's standard C# codes that we can use, and I'm just going to pick them from a different project. So there's this that says validation summary. So this shows all the errors your model can have. I'm just going to copy this and I'll bring it to, I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to bring this into our view. So this is our login, this is HTML. Where do we want to show the errors that we have? We're just going to put it at the top of our form. So we want a div at the top of our form that just shows the errors, and this is the code for it. You say div ASP validation summary equals all class equals text changer, and just put this in here. And then when there's an error after you submit, it simply shows you, it's going to display those messages for you. You can have validation message for individual items. Just going to take this one for the inputs and just have it here, ASP validation for email. We don't need the input here. Great. We need one more for the password in case there's an error on the password. And I'm going to clear this, and that's great. I'm going to go ahead and run this again. This time I don't need to debug it. I'll just go .NET run. I need to go into the project folder. State .web, and then .NET run. Great. Let's see, account/login. So we've loaded the page. I'm going to take this out to see if we can get those validation messages, and I'll hit login. And this time it came back and it says, hey, the email field is required, the password field is required, and then just the same messages here. So we see that we can validate. If someone tries to log in putting in the username and password, tries to say log in, we see that. Now the interesting thing is this thing we've done, we can do it much more easily in HTML, and I'll show you how to do it in HTML and why that is not the only one you should do. So let's say we want the same behavior in HTML. I think it's even better, and HTML even does it a bit better. So we'll come into our login, and if we don't want the person to be able to submit without filling those properties, all we have to do is add the required property here on the HTML. So on this input, just add required. Like you see, just add required here, and I'm going to come in here too and add required, and then I'm going to run it again. And let's see, when I come to account/login, this time if I try to submit, let's see, so if I try to log in, you see I can't even log in. It doesn't even submit the page. It doesn't even go back to my controller. All it says is please fill out this field, and let's say I fill this out, and I didn't fill, let's say I didn't fill out the password field and I say login, it's going to tell me I have to fill in the password field. Now this is a much easier way, but then you might ask me, so why did we have to go through the whole adding required to our model and adding that validation summary to the view if we could have just done this very simple one? Now the reason is because this simple one can be easily bypassed. So if I want to be able to submit this empty, all I have to do is to right click here and say inspect. And once I say inspect, I'm going to open up the HTML, and I'm simply going to remove some properties from the HTML. And for example, this required property, I'm going to delete it off entirely. So there's a required property I can see here. I'm going to delete it. Let's see, I'm going to inspect password 2. We may have to delete a couple of things, but let's now hit login. If you notice, I hit login now and it went back to my browser, to my controller, and then my controller displayed this one. Now, assuming the only way I was validating this was only the required, then a user would have hacked my site, would have been able to submit an empty form to me. But because I am checking on the controller too, because I'm checking with this model state, even if they bypass this and come and remove the required property I put in my HTML, the one at the back can still catch them. So just to clarify, when you do your validation in HTML, it's called client-side validation. So you don't want them to be able to submit, but we know that some users would be able to bypass it. So we then have this type of validation that we do on our models. So we have this type of validation that we do on our models, and we call this server-side validation. So even if they find a way of tracking the web page in their browser, there's no way to track this. And in fact, there are different kinds of validation we can do. We'll see more as we go. I can even go in and say, hey, I want this to be required, and I want it to only accept email addresses. So I'll say email address here. And now if you don't enter an email address, it won't it's going to throw an error. So if the string you entered is not a valid email address, it's going to throw an error. We can also tell the HTML that, hey, only email addresses should be entered in this field by changing the type. So right now we have type text. I'm going to change type to email. We're going to let's stop the program and run it again. Okay, so the project is running, so let's just come in here and reload this login page. I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to take this out, and I'm just going to try to log in, and it should tell me please fill out this field. I'm going to type some string here, and you see the next message is please include an @ in the email address. And so it's realizing that this is not a valid email address, and even if I fill in a password and I try to log in now, it's telling me, hey, this is not a valid email address, you need to put a valid email address here. So that's validation, and we're sure we can get our details into the controller now. So that's step one. Step one is get the details from the view into the controller, and we can do that. Before we proceed, before we finish up this functionality, let us be able to do the same thing for our register view too. So once again, we're going to come to our models class, and we're going to add a new C# file, a new C# class, and we'll call it register model. Register model, and once again, for our register, we need an email and we need a password. I'm just going to copy this. So I have email, password. We need to add the using statement for this. Let's just go and look at what our register page looks like. I think it's on the web, so I'm going to use the one on the web. So this is one on the web. I'm going to remove this and say register. Okay, great. So we need a name, email, password, and confirm password. So this is email. We need name. I'm going to copy this, and yeah, let's just add an extra attribute here, password, saying this field is a password field. I think we need to use a different property called data type, and you see data type dot password. Great. I'm going to copy this, and I'll just use it as a template for the rest. And because this is not a password, this doesn't have to be here, and this can be full name. Next, so we have name, email, password, and confirm password. So we need a confirm password property. I'll change this to confirm password. And now you know how two passwords have to be the same, right? So the first password and the second password have to be the same. The way to achieve that is to use an attribute called compare. So I'm simply going to say compare, and I'll put the property I want to compare it with, and I want to compare it with the password field. So I'll say name of password. And now what's going to happen is if someone submits this form and the password and confirm password are not the same, it's going to throw them back and tell them, hey, you entered different values for password and confirm password. And I'm going to show you a special property, and it's not all the special. I'm just going to say display, and I don't remember if display is the attribute now. I think it's display. Okay, I'll just Google it quickly. C# model attribute display. Oh, it's display name now. So I'm just going to say display name, and I think I need to bring in a namespace. Okay, using system.com. So display name, I'm just going to say display name is let's see what the browser looks like. This display name is name. Let's just say name. For this one, I'll say display name. For this one, I'll say display name is display name should be email address for this one. And that's great. Let's see. Okay, so still recording. So I have my name and my email address. Now what do I need to do? I need to go into my controller first and create a post action for this. So public action results register. The difference is this time it's going to take a register model called model. Once again, we're going to say if model state is invalid. We're not implementing it yet, so once again we're simply going to throw this not implemented exception so we can test. And what else? We need to make this a post. So HTTP post. These are all standard things we did with the other one. So we're ready to work on the view now. So to work on the view, we come into register.cshtml, and we add our model to the top of the file. Once again, this HTML is not well formatted, so I'm simply going to take it out of here and I'll bring it to my HTML file, my temporary HTML file. I'll clear this old markup and just paste this here. And you see, immediately I pasted it in, it formatted it. I'm going to go ahead and do Ctrl-K-F still, and then I'll copy it and bring it back here. Great. Now our model, its model should be our namespace. So we start with our namespace. Estate app web models, the register model. So this is a model for this page. Great. So this is create account, or let's just call it register, because we did the former one. So we change this to register. Let's see the action for this. So we're changing action to ASP action. The ASP action for this should be register, because we want it to hit the register endpoint. And this is now ASP4. And remember, we named that full name. In our model, our name is full name, so change this to full name. Once again, we need to put ASP4 on the input field. Don't remember the validation, so we need the validation part. Let's see, I think I have it on my clipboard somewhere. No, this is not the one I want. So we want the entire validation at the top of the page. So I have the part that does the entire validation somewhere at the top of the page. I'm going to paste in the one for individual pages. Let's see. Interestingly, I don't think I should have. Okay, here. So ASP validation. So 4. This 4 should be for full name. Great. So the next one is for email. So all we just do is add ASP-4 and change it to capital E. Once again, we add ASP for email here. That's good. Okay, this should be full name, not full email. And then I'll add the validation summary. This should be for email. And then we have the one for password. So I'll change this ID to ASP4. Change this to capital P. This should be ASP4. But by now you guys get the gist. I'm just going to go ahead and change all of this. Put my validation. This time it should be for password. Okay. And then for confirm password, once again, ASP-4, and we have confirm password. Okay, type is password. We have ASP-4, confirm password, and then we have the validation parts. Confirm password. Okay, I think it all looks good. I'm going to save, stop the application, run it again, and let's just confirm that this works. Okay, so back here, let's go to register, and I'm just going to hit register, and we see it says hey, the name field is required, the confirm password field is required, and then it says confirm password and passwords do not match. So those are all the errors I have. Now I'll fill it again, and for name I'll say Vincent Warner. For email email, I'll fill in the email, I'll fill in a password, say dev at 12345, but then I'll fill in a wrong confirm password. I'll just fill in whatever for the confirm password, and I'll say register. And you see this time I have one error. It says confirm password and password do not match. So it's saying here you entered different passwords. I forgot to add one thing. So let's just add a register item, the required item to all of our inputs. So you won't even be able to submit the page at all. So required here, I'm just going to copy it. Required. So required. Where else? I think we need the required on the confirm password. So okay, and then I'm going to make some changes. So currently we have our labels set here. I'm simply going to change this. So instead of setting our label, so this email, name, password, you see we have name, email, password here on these labels. I'm going to take them off. So for here, I'm just going to close it. I'm going to change it to a closing label. I don't remember if labels are allowed to close like that. Let's just give it a try and see. Give me a second. Okay, so we have to close it properly. So I'm simply going to remove the text here, and I'll remove the text here too. And what should happen is it should still all work, even though we don't have all of this fixed. So what we're removing right now are these labels here. So these labels, name, email, password, and confirm password. And please take note that we have name, email, password, confirm password. I'm going to stop and run the project again, and I just want to show you a little difference. So this time when I run the project and I hit enter, I see I still have name. I no longer have email. I now have email address. I have password and I have confirm password, but this does not have a space between it. And I'll tell you where these are coming from. Even though we don't have this in the HTML, they're coming from our model. Let's see, they're coming from our model, right? So here in my register model, I added this display name attribute, which added a name. So this is what added a name to the page. This display name attribute also added an email address. Now, if your model does not have a display name attribute, it's simply going to take the name of the property. So for confirm password, it took confirm password, which explains why there's no space between confirm and password. It simply took the name confirm password. I'm going to go ahead and add a display attribute for confirm password. So I'll say display name is confirm password with a space, and we're going to test this out. Now remember, for this to work, you need to have this label ASP4, the name of the property, with nothing filled in for the label. I'm going to stop this. I'll run it again just to see that the confirm password thing works. And let's check this out. And we see now we have space between our confirm and our password. It can be anything you want. So whatever you fill in this display name, you can fill whatever here, and that's what's going to show up on the screen when you run your program. Great. So let's debug now and just make sure we can get the values we want in our register model when we call the register controller. For that, we're going to have to debug so we can hit our breakpoint. And as always, we're going to come here and say hit run to debug. our project is running, so I can come in here and say enter. So name, let me fill my name, Vincent Warner. Email address, I'm going to use my email. I'll use a different password, and then I'm just going to hit register, and it has hit my breakpoint. Let's see, and we see all of the details I want are here. So there's Dev, there's Warner, and all of that. So this is the email I filled in. Awesome. So we're sure that all of this works, and I'm just going to commit. I'm going to go back a few folders. I went too far back, and I can say git status, git add dot git commit m, added models for login / register. I'll push this to dev. Git push origin dev. Okay, awesome. So we C# or we developers, most developers, we like to keep our controllers as clean as possible. Now for login, I could add all the logic we need to log in right in my action, in my login action, but we don't work like that, right? We like to use classes called service classes and interfaces, and we're going to understand why we use all those service classes and interfaces when we start testing. But for now, I'll just say follow my lead. We want to create some service classes which are going to hold the functionality necessary for our users to log in and create new accounts and all of that. And for that, I'm going to come into the web project. Or you know what, we're going to continue this in a different video, continue this part in a different video.